Fearless.
Chase.
Bold.
Following.
Courageous.
Search. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Marshall.
And this is
Undaunted
Pursuit. We're back, everybody. Welcome back to Undaunted Pursuit podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Glad to have y'all back here.
There we go. That sounds a lot better. We had to do our checks because we tried last week to do the same episode, and we've been having a heck of a time trying to deal with this recording software, and who knows, but
It's been a headache.
But I say that with a big but. Hopefully for not too long, because now some things have actually progressed and some things have actually changed that I've been alluding to the past, several weeks. And, we told you, we've been telling you big things are coming. And one of the big things and some exciting news is, Marshall, hopefully we won't have to use this software for too much longer because we are moving to Arkansas.
Arkansas. Yes,
Arkansas
sirree.
bound. Yes, sir.
Now, I'm not moving to Arkansas, but Aaron, you guys are moving to Arkansas.
Right. So at least that puts us within. We start doing these recordings in person finally.
We can
of a
She'll
weekend.
be like 6 hours away.
Yeah, better than the 32 hours or whatever it is to get to your place now. That's just not feasible.
No one's got time for that.
That's right. So anyway, that's exciting news. We're excited to go. It's a complete leap of faith. And that's what we talk about that a lot on this podcast is to follow God in unwavering faith. And it's let me tell you, I say unwavering faith, and yet it's still a bit nerve-wracking and it's still stressful to do this move, especially with a wife and 5 kids. And we actually, the last time we moved, we had 2 less kids. So this has been interesting. We feel like we're just spinning our wheels trying to get things ready to go. And who knows? I mean, we've got a realtor coming to take pictures next week. Or actually, by the time you hear this, she'll be coming in a couple of days. So anyway, yeah.
It's crazy. So you guys got a lot going on, doing a lot of house cleaning, a lot of get rid of stuff you thought you needed, you probably don't need, packing up.
Yeah. Lots of purging. Yeah, to say the least. I mean, that's another reason why we didn't have a podcast last week is because, well, when we had all these technical difficulties with Zencaster and all that, and then I found out that we're just going to do it. We're going to move to Arkansas, and so all this went down. We've been incredibly busy. So yeah,
it's awesome. I can't wait to be closer to you guys. And who knows? Maybe one day we'll be neighbors. You never know. Know.
That'd be so cool. Just imagine. Yeah. So, hey, you guys, anybody listening should start watching for us now that we're both going to be in the South, in the Midwest area, at these podcast conferences. Because, now that we're going to be together, we're definitely going to be hitting some of those up.
Oh, yeah. We'll be there. Undaunted Pursuit podcast out and about.
That's right. Which is why you haven't heard me or heard us give out the address here lately is because that's about to change with people. So
it's going to change. It's going to change a little bit. And so when you guys move, just talk about it a little bit. Are you guys going to be? Are y'all buying a house? You gonna be hanging out in your motorhome for a little while, buying some?
Yeah.
What's y'all's plan?
Yeah, we'll hang out in the motorhome for a little while, and then that's nothing we haven't done before. Because I think I explained it like early on in this podcast that 2020 we traveled the country in the RV as well. So that's nothing new for us. We're gonna hang out in the RV for a little while, and then we'll see what the house sale does, and then try and get some land. That's the first thing is we got to have land. A family of 7. We need some place to like spread out. We need some exploring territory. We have just not been cut out for this in-town living. We just can't do it.
You never have been. You've never been an in town guy. I mean, where you grew up there in Missouri, you guys were nestled in the woods, and your parents still are. And I was even nestled in the woods.
Yeah.
So you've never really been the city type. So it'll be good to get you guys back out in the woods where you belong.
I know, I know, because when you get the cops called on you for shooting over the fence for your kids, shooting over the fence. Okay, quick story. We were getting ready to go on vacation, and I'm of course, having all these kids and stuff. You're rushing around trying to get things here, lock things up here, clean up things before you leave, and all that. And here I come walking around the side of the house, and there's a cop standing at my front door. He's like, "Hey, what's up, buddy?" And he's like, man, I got to tell you, because I know the guy. He's like, man, I got to tell you, we got a phone call for kids shooting pellet guns over the fence. And I was like, oh, yeah. Yeah, I look at the kids. I was like, now what did I tell you? Just real kind of sarcastically. He's like, now, boys, I told you not to be shooting over the fence. So he's like, okay, I think you, he's like, I know you'll handle it. I was like, yeah, we got it. Thanks, man. And it's like, man, seriously, these kids are just wanting to shoot squirrels.
Yeah, yeah. Not, the people who live in the city, they're not used to that, and yeah, they're just not cut out for guns, woods, anything like that. Which that's fine. To each his own. Nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
Heck, I'd prefer to have some land out away from everybody. I don't want to be too far away because I think it's expensive driving back and forth, just to go somewhere. But
It does.
which y'all know about that.
So how nice would it be to just be able to walk out on your back porch and pee? Or if you just think about how many days have I come home? Well, okay, let me back up a little bit because I can't step out on my back porch and pee off the back porch. The kids can because they're kids. Kids can pee anywhere and nobody thinks anything of it. But if I was to go out and pee off the back porch, then there's windows facing my yard in every direction, so I just can't do that. And why? My goodness, why do they think they? How many times I got to tell them I'm good with Drinko tonight?
Do you not have a
Anyway,
lock
they
on
want to
that
play
door?
a game tonight. I know I don't. The next studio is going to have a stinking lock. Anyway.
It better lock from the
inside. Yeah, so I'll explain that here in a minute. So anyway, yeah, so I have windows facing every direction. Well, there's times that I've got to come home and strip off on the porch because either I've gotten too dirty and stuff, but you just can't get naked in the city limits because there's people watching all the time. So that's another reason why I want to be able to.
I do. Now we are in a small country town. We're in a small country town. We have a lot in the house. We have a larger lot. We have a big backyard. We have a privacy fence. So I go outside and pee all the time. And I also strip down in my backyard after I mow. I take all my clothes off, shake them all off and dust them off before I bring them inside. But, now some people, it doesn't matter. Like my papa, he lives in the city and he's got neighbors left, right, front and back.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. Well, he goes outside in his backyard on the side of his house and he just goes. He don't care. He could care less.
Yeah.
No, he's got privacy.
Well, here, that's the thing. That's the thing. That's the thing. I should have said it's okay for kids and old people because then you have it's okay for kids and old people to walk around naked because then kids, people don't think anything about it. They're just kids. They don't know any better. And then when you get older, see, that's what you have to look forward to, Marshall. When you get older, one, you don't care who sees you naked. And then two, if people see you walking around naked, they just think you're just a crazy old guy walking around naked. So,
hey, speaking of old guy, old man Marshall's got a rant.
Oh, there we go. Come on.
Oh. Let me tell you. So I get home today. All right, I get home. Now I just mowed my lawn yesterday, and I tell you, it took me a good 2.5 hours or so, maybe longer. Maybe even 3 hours. I don't know. It was a while because my grass, we've had so much rain. The grass got really tall, especially in the backyard. And so it took me a minute. I mean, I had to take the diverter on the lawnmower that spits it out and pushes it towards the ground. I had to take that off and prop that little flap up to where it spit out behind me. And it looked like a rooster tail. looked like a rooster tail like behind a boat coming out behind me. But anyway, so I say that to say that I got the yard cleaned up, and I come home, go inside, and I went back outside later on to take some trash out. And I always kind of walk around the property. If there's any trash, I'll pick it up or whatever. And I look in my front yard.
Mm-hmm.
So we got the road, and it dips down into like a culvert, so to speak, a ditch or whatever. Not a culvert, but a ditch. And it's pretty big, and then it comes up into my yard. Well, on the street side, I'm walking around out there, and I see tire tracks, and I'm like, "You've got to be kidding me!" And I'm like, "What?" And they're not very big or wide. No. So I'm like, what kind of tracks are these? And so I go to the other side of the yard, and they're on that side too. And well, one of my neighbors and her daughter are sitting out there on their front porch, just hanging out. And I'm just sitting there looking around. I'm just like, "You've got to be kidding me!" And she goes, "It was your neighbor." I said, "The one over there where that silver car is?" And she said, "Yeah." They said it was she has a son. Our neighbor has a son, and he's a senior in high school or something. And him and his high school buddies came over with their trucks and their trailers, and they had dirt bikes. So they got their dirt bikes, and they're riding up and down the street, and they decided to drive in my grass for my yard for whatever reason. I guess they think it's part of the public domain. And so I said to her,
"You're building a motocross there, aren't you?"
Apparently, I was put some ramps out there for them and some dirt jumps and stuff, and just call it good. Yeah. So I said to her, I said, I guess I'm going to have to start sitting on my front porch with my shotgun. Every time I see these guys, I'm just going to take matters into my own hands. I said, "What am I supposed to do about this?" She's like, "Hey, do what you got to do." And I'm just like, so, and so again, I was just like, and I come inside and I'm grabbing to my wife because I'm just like, this is ridiculous. I don't know what to do. I told her, I said, "I think I'm going to go over there, and I'm gonna go talk to her, this kid's mother. I'm going to go have a chit chat with her, and I still may actually do that." But I told her, I said, "I'm also getting a camera." I said, we have a light above our garage. It's a sensor light. It's LED. It's super bright. I said, "I'm going to take one of those out and put one of those ring ones up there, one of those ring floodlights up there. That's a camera on it too. That way I can see everything going on in front of my house." I said, "Then I can capture them and I'll have proof." I'll take them down. Old man Marshall ain't putting up with it no more. That's my radio.
Tearing up my yard.
Tearing up my yard, little turds.
All right. So, yeah. So the kids coming in, and they keep asking me if I'm okay playing this game tonight. Yeah. So a while back, we made this. It was like several years back. Actually, we made this Plinko board, and some family nights. Every Friday night, we try or not every Friday night, but we try and do family nights on towards the end of the week and whatever, just to kind of regroup and be a family. And so we made this Plinko board. Well, it's loosely based off of the Drinko game from the Jimmy Fallon show or whatever, the Fallon show, the late night show. And except for, they use alcohol on that one. On this one, we use like anything. So any liquid drink. So it'll be, you could have juice, pickle juice, lemon juice, oil, vinegar, whatever is edible or drinkable, and then you put them all on cards and you lay them in the slots, and then you play Plinko with them. You drop 2 discs, and then whatever lands, you mix the 2 drinks. So if there's a chance you could get, say, like oil and apple juice, or vinegar and whatever, vinegar and who knows what, vinegar and soy sauce. I think soy sauce was one of them one time, and it's just, golly. Oh man, it's a fun game. It really is.
Well, this sounds like fun. It sounds like an upset stomach, but when you guys get moved and we come up there, we're gonna have to play that.
Yeah, because the board's coming with us. And let me tell you, some people ask, why Arkansas? Well, I mean, there's a lot of worldly things that we can, pros to this move that we can think of, like kind of not necessarily selfish pros but if you think about it, the weather's warmer, the grow season is longer, it's closer to you, and for us to be able to continue this podcast in a more positive way. Um,
Right.
the options are endless. There's a lot of really good positives to that. But what I want to say is the main reason we were originally thinking, it's like, okay, so I was scared to talk to Ashley about it. And then I came up to her. I said, "Hey, I have this feeling, this overwhelming feeling that we need to talk about this." And she's like, "Okay, that we should probably go south." And she's like, "Okay." I was like, "Oh wow!" So over weeks of praying together about it, we went to bed, and we woke up. We were talking about some other different states, Tennessee, South Carolina, Alabama, Louisiana, Texas, not even Texas, because we know the real estate market there is kind of high. So anyway,
Mm-hmm.
we woke up and we're like, okay, Arkansas it is. We don't know why. It's crazy to think about, but God wants us to follow on complete faith, and
Mm-hmm.
we will do that, because if we don't, it'll be nothing but trouble. And so, yeah,
Oh,
we don't
absolutely.
know why Arkansas, but I can see a lot of really good things, and hopefully I'm gonna try and get involved with this. You guys have heard on this podcast, Brody Cooper with Blast and Cast Men's Ministry, and as soon as I get down there, I think we're gonna be talking. I've already talked to him, and so this is the other part of the exciting news is that I'm gonna try and join up with them and help in that ministry as well. So we'll see where that takes us. So I'm excited.
Yeah, no, that'll be awesome. Um, and not only all that great stuff, but Arkansas is just a beautiful place. It really is. They call it it's the natural state,
Oh man.
and they take that to
Mm-hmm.
heart. When I may have mentioned this, but when my wife and I were there a while back, it is super clean. I mean, when we were driving around, I don't think I saw maybe two or three pieces of trash on the side of the road. Whereas here in Texas, you see trash all over the place, and which is
Yeah. Yeah.
unfortunate. But man, it's just beautiful, and you're in the woods. You have all that nature. You got more animals
Mm-hmm.
around there, and yeah, it's just nice.
And don't get me wrong. Go ahead. Okay. So yeah, I was just gonna say, don't get me wrong. Where we live here in Idaho is beautiful, and the town we live in, Grangeville, Idaho, will always hold a special place in our heart. It's been a great town, and it really is actually really sad to leave. But when God calls you to His will, you got to do it. I mean, God's calling you for a reason.
yeah, yep. Where he goes, you must follow.
Yep. I mean, because it's just not you're going to be blessed by he knows what's best for you. You don't. You don't have um, you just don't know. He knows the past, present, and the future. He's timeless, and his way is the perfect way. So you gotta trust in him, and that's how we looked at it, and we're putting God first in our life, and which is what we're going to be talking about tonight in Luke chapter 14.
Yeah, before we go into that, I wanted to share something that happened. Was it today? Well, okay. There's a couple different things. Was it today? I can't remember if it was today or yesterday. I'm losing my mind. Anyway, so of course y'all know my wife. She lost one of her sisters, so that's been rough. And then lately we have a cat. And okay, I know some people aren't animal people and don't treat animals like their family, but we treat animals like our family. And I'm not a big cat person, but this cat I like, one of few.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, this cat's been sick, and it's kind of gotten sicker, and my wife loves our cat like big time. And so anyway, so it's been kind of rough on her today, and so it must have been today. Anyway, so I was at work, and and I was she was having just a rough time at home. I think it was yesterday, actually. My bad. Sorry, I'm going back and forth. Anyway, yesterday I was at work and she was at home, and she was having a rough time at the house, and I was listening to some really encouraging and motivational like Christian speakers on Spotify throughout
Mm-hmm.
the day, which was awesome, by the way. And so I started looking up scripture just about different things, different struggles. And
Yeah.
I sent those to her, and I didn't know that's what she needed to hear. Uh, but it was. And today, or when I got home that evening, she shared with me, she goes, when you sent that to me, um, I was actually dealing with some stuff and having a hard time. And it was like perfect timing. I said, really? I said, well, I didn't send it because I knew you've had a hard time with it. I just sent it just because. I wasn't even thinking, man. I was at work doing my own thing, and it just kind
Yeah.
of dawned.
Yeah.
It just kind of hit me, and I was like, I'm going to send her the scripture. And so it was amazing how God utilized that moment to help her with His word, and and just help her through a little bit of a tough time. And then on a different note, today I was out working. I went to go meet with a customer, and I haven't done this in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And it was an older gentleman. He's probably in his 80s or so. Him and his wife, the nicest couple. I mean, super sweet. I felt like it was just my grandparents. Just super sweet. And I'd actually done some work. I'd done some work with his son on a different project, and we were talking about some stuff, and we were sitting on his back porch. And then when I got there, he goes, "I have a seat," and I go, "Oh no, it's Rex. I didn't think I was going to be there for very long." Well, about probably 10 minutes into our conversation, he goes, go ahead and have a seat. So I sit down, and we're probably talking for like 15, 20 minutes, just chatting about all sorts of stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
he shared with me that he'd been having health issues for the past year. He had, I can't remember what it's called, but more or less when he would stand up, his blood pressure would drop about 30 points. And when he would sit down, it would be normal. And so for the past year or so, it's been really rough. And then
Yeah.
the past 3 or 4 days, it's been pretty good. And so anyway, I ended up, saying, hey, I better, get going and get back to work. And I said, but I'll be praying for you. And I stopped. And I said, you know what? I said, do you mind if I pray for you right now? And he said, absolutely. And so I went over there, I put my hand on his back, and I never met this guy in my life. I didn't know who he was. But I put my hand on his back, and I just prayed over him. I just prayed for him. And it was just such a sweet moment. And afterwards, he shook my hand, and he just kind of held my hand for a second. And you could tell, you could hear the emotion. You could hear the tears in his voice. And he was just so
Mm-hmm.
thankful. He said, thank you so much, young man, for doing that. I appreciate that. And you could just hear the emotion and just the thankfulness, and so
Yeah.
it was good. It was really cool. It was a great moment, and I was thankful to God that He blessed me with that opportunity. So if you guys get the chance to pray
That's
for
awesome.
somebody, do it. Yeah, I love it.
Prayer is a powerful tool. Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. I was gonna go into it, but no, that's all you got to say about it is prayer is just it lifts people up, and most people are open to it. Who doesn't want to be prayed over? Who, even if it's and God hears those prayers. And so not only does it, it's a simple way to witness to somebody. It really is.
It really is. It opens the doors real quick. You just never know.
Yep. Okay. All right. So we're like 20 some odd minutes into this, and let's get this going. Cause of course I'll probably have some other kids in here or something ask me when I'm going to be done or whatever. But so we're getting into Luke chapter 14. I know we've already done, you guys don't know listening, but we've already done this, and I hope it's going to be just as good as it was the last time, because I felt pretty good about it last time. But
it was good.
Obviously, maybe there was something. Maybe there was something we said wrong. I don't know. We're going to go through it again. So,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe I shouldn't do that, because if we get something wrong this time, it's like we've had yet another week to study on this and to chew on it for a little bit. So who knows? But maybe we can. So we're starting off chapter 14 here. Jesus has been invited to a Pharisee's house for dinner, and it happens to be on a Sabbath day. And my Bible says, in my translation, amplified in parentheses, says hoping to entrap him. And so they're going to be watching him closely and carefully, because they're looking for fault. And so but we can see from this is that he's he's still being invited into these houses, even though he's had disputes with the Pharisees in the past, and he's still associating with them a little bit, but he's not associating with them to be a part of them. He's he's here to save us. So that's what he's here to show a godly example. And so here he is, and they're watching him closely. Now this word watching closely, for watching, the word watching in this instance here is to be interested and sinister, kind of and I'm paraphrasing, but yeah, so that word broken down is interested and with sinister intent.
Right.
And of course, people wanted to see what Jesus was going to do in these different situations. So that's why.
Oh, they absolutely.
And that's and
like
knowing.
you said,
go ahead.
That's the Pharisees were. That's what you like. You had said the Pharisees were just trying to trick him into breaking the law. But aside from it, yeah, people did. They were interested to see what Jesus was going to do, what he was up to.
Yeah, and so the Pharisee, this Pharisee, obviously invited this man with this affliction to, and some believe that it was to provoke Jesus into breaking what they considered law at the time, I suppose. Mm-hmm. So what we're getting into here, it's you can read about it in verse 2, but this is there's a man with what's called dropsy, and it's extreme swelling or abnormal swelling in the tissues. And let me see here. The dropsy is comes from the Greek words water and face. So this would have had the appearance of this man would have been noticeable, because it caused a bloating in the face. So when Jesus heals him, which, okay, I may be getting ahead of myself. Let's see here. Okay, I'm getting kind of ahead of myself. So anyway, this guy has a noticeable affliction called dropsy, and it's a fluid buildup in the tissues. So these guys don't ask anything. But Jesus knows what the intentions were, because of course he's God in the flesh. He knows why this guy is here, and he knows what question that they're questioning this. And he says, is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath or not? So what is he, and it says here, okay, yeah, never mind. So the issue is not healing per se, it's healing on the Sabbath, which of course is a man-made construct, and you're going to see him as we progress in here. He's making a case against that. Nowhere does it break, because we got to remember that Jesus didn't break any of God's laws. And a lot of these laws that these guys tried to trap Jesus in were not God's laws. They were man-made constructs to limit people and to really to make the Pharisees look better, to make them look good for selfish reasons.
Right.
And so in this question, there's a lot that goes into just this one question, which is crazy, because all in this one question, he's reminding them that there is no command against that. So they kept silent, and he took hold of the man. He heals him. Now, when we said earlier that he had a noticeable affliction, his face would have been bloated, and you can imagine how great a miracle this was. And he would have been changed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. No doubt about that. That's what Jesus does. He changes people.
So he heals a man. Yeah, exactly. He does. Even nowadays. Oh, too bad this is not a video podcast. You should see Marshall and his facial expressions.
Oh. Eventually, y'all will get to see this stuff. It'll be good.
So, yeah, I know it. I hope so. But okay, so Jesus sends this guy on the way, and this is cool, because he's not, like we've seen all through this chapter in Jesus's ministry and his healing. It wasn't a lot of it. There were some standout moments, but it's not a bunch of hocus pocus. It's not for the notoriety, and there is no ceremony or anything. Jesus just does it. He just heals. That's what he does. And so we lost Marshall's. Marshall is gone.
I tell you what, the devil's out to steal, kill, and destroy,
All
and
right,
he's trying
hold
to
on.
tear down this daggone podcast now.
Okay, we're back.
And we're back.
All right, so where were we? We were talking about, okay, so he heals the guy, he sends him on his way. All right. Verse 5 in 14. Do you have anything to add before we go on, Marshall?
Now I got some stuff for 7 through 11 and 15 through 24, but I'm hanging on.
Okay, all right. All right, so we're going to see, he goes in, asks them, So verse 5 says, he says to them, which one of you, having a son or an ox that falls into a well, will not immediately pull him out on the Sabbath day? So he is addressing the fact that these guys obviously had a problem with him healing on the Sabbath, even though it's not God's commandment to not heal on the Sabbath day. So this is simple. He's bringing up the fact that you guys will even show compassion to animals. So why not heal people that are made in God's image? So it's like, if you have an animal that falls into a well, will you not help them on the Sabbath day? And they couldn't answer him. They had no answers because it's a perfect question for them, because it condemns them either way. Whether it either shows their true identity either way, if they were to have answered him, because it appeals to something good in these people. But then if they say no, then it just goes to prove that they were hypocrites.
Yeah. Jesus doing what Jesus does, teaching.
But he was, and he knows that there is good inside of them, and that's what he was trying to he was trying to get them to be true to the good inside of them. And that's what he was bringing up in this passage, was that he was kind of scolding them for their wrong behavior, but he was also trying to get them to see that, hey, you guys there is good inside of you, just like there's good inside of all of us. You just got to embrace it. Yeah. When you think you shouldn't do,
created you to be.
Yeah, exactly. When you think you shouldn't do something, help that person, or go talk to that person. Just like you said, Marshall, God lays verses on your heart, or lays a heavy feeling on your heart to go pray for that person or send them that verse. And that's exactly, seize those moments.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
All right. Now, so verse 7, we're getting into a parable. And so these are, when Jesus tells a parable, these are real life situations. They are not, they're not made up stories. They're not fables of any sort. And they're not just fancy stories that Jesus told to he used real life situations that they were all familiar with, so that they could relate to him, so that they could take something out of what he was getting ready to say. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the parable. This is the wedding feast parable. Do you want to lead? You want to kick this one off, Marshall?
Yeah, sure. So here Jesus is teaching about seeking humility, pretty much. So I'm going to start off with verse 7. So when he noticed how the guests picked the places of honor at the table, he told them this parable. He said, when someone invites you to a wedding feast, do not take the place of honor, for a person more distinguished than you may have been invited. If so, the host who invited both of you will come and say to you, give this man your seat. Then, humiliated, you will have to take the least important place. But when you are invited, take the lowest place, so that when your host comes, he will say to you, friend, move up to a better place. Then you will be honored in the presence of all of your fellow guests. For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, and he who humbles himself will be exalted. So pretty much in a nutshell, what Jesus is saying here is to be humble and to be a servant. Pretty much let God exalt you. Don't try to exalt yourself. When we try to exalt ourselves, I mean, essentially, you become self-serving and very selfish, and you're not putting others or God first. You're putting yourself and your own desires first.
Yep. So just think about it. Like, if you want to live like what Jesus lived, then you've got to humble yourself, because Jesus ultimately humbled himself, or God in the flesh humbled himself to send Jesus God in the flesh, and to be a human, gave up all of his, because he, came through a birth canal and and lived this life, experienced life from a baby to adulthood, and died on the cross for us and rose again. And then the nice thing is he rose again from the dead. But to serve, Jesus served his whole ministry, and did he have to? No, he's God in the
Yeah.
flesh. He didn't have to do that, but he's setting an example for us to live like he did. So if you want to, you got to have that servant attitude.
Yeah. That's a fact.
So,
Shall I
and
keep
then
reading?
well, go ahead, Marshall.
Oh, I don't care if you can go. You can finish it. Doesn't matter to me.
Okay, all right, yeah. So, like you said, we should work hard for the Lord so that God can raise us up. And going along those same lines, verse 12, when you give a luncheon or a dinner, do not invite your friends or your brothers or those relatives or the wealthy neighbors. Otherwise, they may invite you in return. Don't do something. Don't take on that servant heart with expectations of being repaid somehow, some way.
Yes.
When you give a banquet reception, invite the poor, the disabled, the lame, and the blind. And you will be blessed because those people can't repay you. Serve those that can't repay you. Or even like Marshall, if I did something for you, a loving heart would expect nothing in return. So you don't have to, do that for those people, but do that for everybody, and you will be blessed. Because
Yeah.
let's see here.
I mean, that's how I was raised, right? I was raised to, and this wasn't with necessarily a biblical backing as a child, but it was, you give from the bottom of your heart and don't ever expect anything in return. You just do it because you want to. Don't do something expecting something back in return. You just don't do that.
Yep. So because we've been over this, as a believer, where is our true treasure? It's in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
And so he goes on, it goes on to say, Jesus goes on to say that you will be blessed because they cannot repay you, for you will be repaid at the resurrection of the righteous. When one of those who were reclining at the table with him said this, he said to them, blessed and happy is he who will eat bread in the kingdom of God. I kind of jumped ahead there a little bit. What I wanted to touch on, the main point of the end of that little section would be the fact that your true treasure is not in the worldly things, or it shouldn't be. It should be in heaven. So strive for that. Don't strive for that repayment. Don't do it expecting to be even, you can even take payment as being recognized of some sort. Don't do it with being to be recognized in any way.
Yeah.
It's a heart condition is what it is, Marshall.
It is. It really is.
All right. So
I've got a story out to share when we start going through this next few verses.
yeah.
Here.
I mean, I'm gonna skip over. I'm gonna skip over 15 here. I don't know. So one of the people who were reclining at the table with them heard this. Blessed is he who will eat bread in the kingdom of God. Very true. It was a true statement. Obviously, whatever Jesus was talking, this parable that really touched the gentleman at the table with them, and he just makes this exclamation.
Yeah.
And this is, it's probably, because of course you can probably see that some of the other folks at the table were the tension was high, and so this was an attempt to kind of break that tension. Well, then Jesus goes into another parable, and in verse 16 he says to them, a man was giving a big dinner, so he invites many guests, and so this was an occasion that inviting many people to come. Normally, this was just the sort of an occasion that people would be thrilled to attend, and they would be happy to be invited. So this banquet would have been, this dinner would have been announced, and then when everything was ready. So this would have been announced probably days before. Say, hey, I'm fixing to have a dinner. don't know what time. I'll send my servant when it's time. So these people knew ahead of time that
Yeah.
Jesus is about to talk about, and this was custom in this time period that this would happen, because we got to remember this is taking place before clocks and everything. So you can't say, hey, somebody be there at 3 o'clock for a dinner, you know. So you announce this several days before, and then come the day of the feast, a servant gets sent out. All right. Marshall, do you said you had some stuff that you wanted to touch on this?
Yeah, I do. So pretty much, give me just a second here. So, a lot of what is going on here in 15 through 24, really, when Jesus is talking about this great feast, is Jesus is talking a lot about the calling on our lives and answering that
Mm-hmm.
call.
Yeah.
And so, I just want to say that answering Jesus's call on your life, that's not something you want to pass up. You don't want to pass up God's invitation for your life, because eventually he may he may take back his invitation and give it to somebody else. And I have a situation, not a situation. I have an experience
Mm-hmm.
myself, and this is a church I used to go to in Fort Worth many years ago, and we were in the middle of a church service, and I was sitting towards the back of the sanctuary, and I'm just praying. There may have been some worship music going on at the time, and in the midst of my prayer and worshiping God, I just felt this nudge from the Holy Spirit to go pray for this gentleman that was up sitting at the front of the sanctuary.
Mm-hmm.
And I just got to, I was second guessing it. That the devil was really messing with my mind. Like, are you sure you want to do that? Don't do that. Yeah, if you do that, you might look like an idiot if it's not real. Blah blah blah. And to make a long story short, I passed that up. I
Mm-hmm.
passed that opportunity up, the invitation from God to go pray for somebody else. And lo and behold, not just a few minutes later, after I decided not to because I was nervous and I was scared and I was afraid of what people may think or that individual may think, somebody else got up and went over there and prayed for that same guy,
Yeah.
because I failed to listen to what God was calling me to do. He told
Mm-hmm.
me to go pray for this man, and I said, nah, I'm gonna look like an idiot. I'm gonna look stupid. I know I am. Because what if I'm wrong? What if I'm not hearing from you, God, and I'm just making this up in my mind? And I go there and pray for that guy, and he looks at me like, "What are you talking about? I don't need prayer. I'm just fine." But that's why it's so important to listen to God's word, that the invitation, that calling on your life, and that calling is not just about that kind of calling, but it goes larger than that.
Yeah, exactly. And just think that these people in this parable were invited and had accepted that invitation initially. And you can just take that into like today's, it's like, oh, maybe I've got a lot of this stuff. I got this stuff I've got to accomplish first, and then maybe I'll accept Jesus. Or I've got to, we see this all throughout, especially this book in Jesus's ministry. It's like, first, let me go do this. Or, you're invited. All things are ready. We can see this analogy that God has made all things are now ready for men to come, men and women to come and receive from him. And we come to God and find that he has been ready for us all along.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't pass up God's invitation on your life. And
To think, yeah, go ahead, Marshall.
no, that's all I was gonna say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was just going to say that it was insult. It's an insult. It's insulting
Yeah,
to accept this invitation and then turn around and just get rid of it. Just to
yeah,
to turn
yeah.
it away. You can think about that as like to go to church and hear God's word. The invitation's there. God is calling you to to accept Jesus and what he did for us on the cross, and you're gonna turn around and turn your back on him and walk away.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're talking about right here.
Yeah,
And so you see all these people. The servant goes to all these people to make sure hey, the feast is ready. No, I've got oxen, and please excuse me. I had I just got married, and please excuse me from that. And I just purchased a piece of land. Every people are making it. They're making excuses and they're exalting this worldly stuff, and even and I'm even talking about the wife situation here. Is that people are exalting all this stuff over God, over God's invitation, over this and that's oh man. All right. I'm getting just a little too excited here. But what we're this analogy or this parable is to explain God's invitation. So that's I'm just kind of I'm using this and talking about God. These because you see that today, that people exalt their things or their situations over what God wants in their life. So even your marriage, you got to put God first in your marriage, or it will not succeed.
It's
And
true.
normally I would say I'm sorry about that, but I'm not going to apologize about that. Yeah.
No, God first.
And so don't use
Always.
these worldly don't use these worldly excuses to not accept God's invitation. Yeah, selfishness comes into play there as well.
Oh yeah.
Because now we're going to get into the repercussions of not accepting that invitation.
And the depths.
So the
of
servant
what following Christ means.
Yeah, exactly. So the servant comes back to the master and says, "Hey, none of these guys want to come." He's like, "Go out into the cities, into the alleys, and invite and bring in here the poor and the disabled and the blind and the lame," because this guy wants to fill he wants to fill his table, and so that's just what the servant does. And of course, just like you were saying, Marshall, God's kingdom is going to be filled, whether you accept the call or not. There other people will accept the call. Don't be one of those people that don't accept God's invitation, or you're going to be sorely disappointed, or you're going to suffer for all eternity. That's just the truth of the matter. So the servant comes back and he says, "Hey, master, I've done what you asked, and you still have seats available." Now he doesn't. We're seeing this analogy now of God now grafting in those Gentiles. This is what Jesus is talking about. About now the Gentiles are going to be grafted in. He sends a servant out to the highways, into the hedges. He's going outside the city now. What we were looking at before was the city would have been God's chosen people, would have been the the Jewish people, and now since they don't want to hear the call, they've turned their back on the invitation. Now he's going to bring in the Gentiles. Everybody else is invited. Let's fill this table.
Yeah, I love it.
Because, and then here's the main comment here. It's like, "For I tell you, not one of those who were invited and declined will taste my dinner." You want to eat at God's table. Let me tell you. What do you got, Marshall?
Oh, no, I was just reading that last little bit there and just understanding what it was saying. That's all.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, I was kind of reading some of the little side notes on there, seeing if there was anything else that we could add. But I think we got our point across.
I think so, and I like what's coming up in 25 through 27. It gets good.
Yeah. So Jesus is he's continuing. He's making his way towards Jerusalem to complete what he's come here to do. And of course, he's a popular guy, and so there's multitudes of people following him, and these large crowds are going along with Jesus. And he turns to them and he says, "If anyone comes to me and does not hate his own father," and this word "hate" is not a what we would take as like, "Oh, I hate that. I don't want anything to do with that." This hate is to, yet again, you've got to put Jesus first in your life. That's what it is. That's what hate means. So if anyone comes to me, wants to follow me, which Jesus, not me, of course, and does not hate his own father and mother and wife and children and brothers and sisters, yes, and even his own life. Put Jesus above all, above everything in your life. Give everything up to him. And
Yeah.
this is in the sense of indifference or relative disregard. So it breaks it down in here, in the sense of indifference or relative disregard for them in comparison with his attitude toward God. Exactly, kind of what I said in a little bit more words. If you don't put God first in your life, you can't be his disciple.
No, you can't. And I'd like to read my little snippet. That's what
Do
I
it.
like to call them. So in 1427, so I'll just pretty much explains what's going on here. And I love these because, like I said before, it breaks it down and puts it layman's terms, and it helps you understand. It helps me understand it. So Jesus' audience was well aware of what it meant to carry one's own cross. When the Romans led a criminal to his execution site, he was forced to carry the cross on which he would die. This showed his submission to Rome and warned observers that they had better submit to. Jesus made this statement to get the crowds to think through their enthusiasm for him. He encouraged those who were superficial either to go deeper or to turn back. This is the part that gets me. Following Christ means total submission to him, perhaps even to the point of death. And if you think about all the disciples and you go back and you look at the life of the disciples after Jesus was resurrected and ascended into heaven, all of the disciples, except for one, died very gruesome deaths. They were all killed for spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ, for doing what we're called to do as disciples of Christ. They were hung upside down on crosses. They were beheaded. I mean, the list goes on. So, ask yourself that, being a Christian can't be taken lightly. This walk can't be taken lightly. And it even says in scripture that if you're lukewarm, he's going to spit you out. So it's either you're hot or you're cold. There is no middle ground. And so, it's a serious deal. And that's why, Jesus also says that, being a Christian is, it's not going to be all wonderful and fun and joyful and easy. There's going to be difficult times. There's going to be challenges, and you're going to be tempted, and you're going to be tested throughout your faith and your walk in Christ. So ask yourself, are you willing to die for Christ? I mean, it could happen. It happens in other countries all the time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because we got to remember, if this was all a made up story, then nobody would have died for this if it wasn't complete truth.
Yeah.
So just think about the disciples. Think they died willingly for Jesus. So why wouldn't we, if need be? Of course, Jesus wants us to spread the good news. That's what we're called to do. But we got to be willing to do anything for Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you're not willing to do that, then you can't be his disciple. And then he goes into like verse 28. He goes into these. I guess we could call them parables or analogies, and for which one of you, when he wants to build a watchtower for his guards, does not first sit down and calculate the cost. Now, we previously just talked about it, that coming to God was like accepting an invitation, and now he's making a point that this is simply to being a follower of Jesus is more than just accepting an invitation. You've got to weigh the cost, just like you were saying, Marshall, that there is some high cost to it. It could mean friendships. It could mean relationships with family members or spouses, but
Your job,
but the reward is great, and you should continue to put him first.
Well, the reward is far greater because, like we've said before, and like Jesus has said, our reward isn't here on earth; it's in heaven. So that's what we as Christians have to look forward to. Not this, it's not your job, not your car, it's not your boat, not the gold chain you got wearing around your neck. No, it's Jesus. It's spending eternity in heaven.
Yeah. And then jumping down to verse 33, so then none of you can be my disciple who does not carefully consider the cost, and then for my sake give up all of his own possessions. Stop putting your trust in that new car. Stop putting your trust in your fancy house. It's okay to have that stuff, but don't lean on it to save you. Don't lean on it to that full pantry, that full freezer. Uh, Eventually that stuff is going to let us down. You know who doesn't let us down? Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
He never lets us down. So count those costs, consider those costs, and give up everything. It is his anyways. He created, he inspired um, people to create it, or to make it. It all comes back to God. It's all his creation. So why not give him glory first for it?
Amen. Amen.
Yeah, we're actually going through this pretty quick.
Well, total and all, but about an hour.
Right. Yeah, we're in it. Yeah. So I used to say this. So to round out this chapter, Marshall, we used to say this as a bedtime like prayer, or we would say this when we were kids to memorize verses. So Mom would always have we'd have like a verse that we would repeat, and then it just kind of sticks with you. So salt is good, but if it loses its saltiness, how it will ever be made salt again. Or in my translation, it says, therefore salt is good, but if salt has become tasteless, with what will it be seasoned? So do you want to get into what that meaning is, why he needed... let me finish this out and then we'll talk about it. So 35 goes on to say, it is fit neither for the soil nor for the manure pile. It is thrown away. He who has ears to hear, let him hear and heed my words. Jesus is just like, hey, listen to what I'm saying here.
Yeah.
Do you want to get into, do you have anything to add on that as far as like what that salt is good means?
Yeah. I'll dive into my snippet. I'll dive into that because it does break it down and it explains it well. So it says salt can lose its flavor. When it gets wet and then dries, nothing is left but a tasteless residue. Many Christians blend into the world and avoid the cost of standing up to Christ or standing up for Christ. But Jesus says if Christians lose their distinctive saltiness, they become worthless. Just as salt flavors and preserves food, we are to preserve the good in the world, help keep it from spoiling, and bring new flavor to life. This requires careful planning, willing sacrifice, and unswerving commitment to Christ's kingdom. Be salty. It's not easy, but if a Christian fails in this function, he or she fails to represent Christ in the world. How salty are you?
Oh man, that gives new meaning to them bumper stickers you see driving around. Salty dog, right? We should all be salty dogs. That is the title of tonight's podcast. Is just be a salty dog.
Be a salty dog. Be salty. Go into the world and be salty. Come on, y'all.
Yeah, and I want to end this here by making this statement here that I read. Is salt is only useful when it has the nature of salt, meaning to say a believer is only useful when he or she has the nature of Christ.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And
be salty.
That rounds us out. Yeah. Don't be a hypocrite.
Just be
salty. It's easy to say you're a believer.
Hey, Aaron.
But live like one. Yeah.
Be salty.
I'm a salty dog.
It's a salty dog, y'all.
I'm trying to be salty.
Well, that's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. That's a wrap. Let's try and end this thing because I got packing to do, or I guess I got family night to do now. Maybe I need to see if they're cooking up our pork chops.
Ooh, pork chops. I'm not a pork chop fan, at least not what I was raised on.
Oh, yeah. So, few housekeeping issues, Marshall. I wanted to recognize Amanda Joy Powell for that music on the last episode. Amazing. Thank you for that music. And we've had such a great response to a post I put out a couple weeks ago on social media looking for new upcoming Christian artists. And it's been an overwhelming, awesome speechless. I'm speechless on it because it's just been an awesome response from all these different artists, and we're going to try and feature them
Yeah.
as we progress in all these episodes. So we used Amanda Joy Powell's music in the last episode. It was great. I loved it. So thank you to her. And this week we're using, and it's kind of fitting because the name of the song is Salt, and he's a pretty cool dude. I've had a pleasure of speaking with him on through Messenger, and his name is Brother Booth. He's from Fivefold Gang Music Group out of Arkansas. Hey, and maybe now, now that we're moving to Arkansas, I'm gonna meet up with him. Hopefully, have him on the podcast here soon, and we'll talk about it. But I hope you guys enjoy and take the time to listen to this music from these folks that we're putting on the end of these episodes, because they're amazing folks. They extremely talented what they do, and we're excited to share their music with you guys. So thanks, Brother Booth, for the music you sent us. And hey, we're gonna play this one. It's called Salt, so enjoy it. Yeah, give them a follow. All their information. If you guys want to follow these people that we're highlighting all these on all of our episodes, you can find it all in the show notes. So yeah, I'm excited to get a variety of music on here.
Hey, I just listened to a little snippet of Amanda Joy, and let me hang on. Listen.
Yeah.
So, guys, wow. I mean, she's good. I'll be honest. That's the first one I've listened to, because I haven't listened to the end of that podcast episode. So
I was rocking to it.
She's good.
I was rocking to it today.
Awesome. I love it. Go listen to Amanda Joy. She's got something going on there.
Yeah, for sure. And okay, so let's do this. We finished filming on our sister. It's going to be a sister company to Undaunted Pursuit Productions and all that. You know how all that stuff works, everybody. But this new company, Venatic Ridge Outdoors, is I don't have the Facebook page. There's not much there, but go follow us on there. Venatic Ridge Outdoors. It's I've got a video out on YouTube on it. It's a hunting comedy. I hope you guys like it. Of course, I'm not the greatest actor in the world, so we'll see where it goes. But yeah, there's some exciting news. I've been kind of secretly working on it, and I don't know. Maybe it won't go anywhere. Who knows? But yeah,
hey,
that's another one of our projects that we're working on. Marshall, you'll be in on it when I get down to Arkansas, because we need a videographer though when I get down there, because I still don't have any video equipment.
I know people in Texas who do that for a living, and they're amazing. They're costly, but maybe they'll give us a deal.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see how this first video performs. It's kind of shot in an old timey hunting video way, and it's a dry humor right now. But it's cool. I had a fun time doing it, and I hope I can do more. I hope that it performs well enough that makes it, worth a while to pay somebody else to do more video work for us. So we'll see.
You said that's Venatic, like Vanatic?
V,
like fanatic, but with the V?
No. It's VENATIC, Ridge, common spelling, outdoors. Of course, everybody knows how to spell outdoors. Venatic is just another word for hunting, but it's catchy.
Oh, I found it. I was spelling it wrong. That's why I had you spell that out, because I was spelling Venatic wrong. But I found it.
Good. Cool. So yeah, go check that out. Most importantly, share this episode with somebody this week and spread the news about Undaunted Pursuit podcast, and check out all of our socials, our website. Oh man, now that I really got to get that website done before I move, right? That way it's out there. But for now, undauntedpursuit.podbean.com. What am I missing there, Marshall?
Oh, what all we got going on there? We got
email.
email. We got mail at undauntedpursuit.com. Hey, guys, we got questions, answers, and more questions and answers. Shoot us up at our email, mail at undauntedpursuit.com. We'd love to hear from you. Get plugged in with us, get involved with us, and Bibles. We have Bibles, and we want to get rid of them. They're gathering dust. And so, guys, if you need a Bible, if somebody you know needs a Bible, or if you just want a Bible that you can just give to some random stranger, send us an email, send us a message on Facebook or any of the social media pages, and we will send one to you guys, and you can enjoy it.
Yeah, and have a little grace because I am moving. So, of course, they're at my house, and I'd have to find them in a box. But we will get one to you as soon as we can. If you really need one, don't be afraid to message us on anything, and we'll get you one. No problem. We'll get you. So, I think that's it. I think we covered everything.
Done.
Hey, again, thank you, Brother Booth, for this song. You guys enjoy Salt, and make sure to go follow him too. So we'll see you guys next time on Dawn of Pursuit Podcast. Bye.
See you later.
City, some people can be so wicked. Just trying to show the kindness of Christ, make you a victim. I'm struggling, but I still give love. I'm optimistic, but when they disrespectful, why do I have to forgive them? And I know that I'm a Christ representative. I know I'm mandated to spread that word to the sinners and to the saints, but the saints be acting jaded. Feeling like they pastors are overly compensated. I'm saying, prosperity has its place, but can you show me how to keep the devil out my face? I'm trying to keep my sanity while running in this race, shooting up like Tony Stark's in my armor every day. Offended by the insults, middle fingers that go up, followed by the you sleep, homie, you need to wake up. But Lord, I gotta stay up and daily stay prayed up, cause the scriptures say for your name's sake, they gonna hate us. But sometimes I don't wanna be the city on the hill like a dog. Don't wanna carry this cross. I'ma need a little more extra strength, Lord, I'm lost. Please, Lord. I don't wanna be the south. I don't wanna be the city on the hill like a dog. Don't wanna carry this cross. I'ma need a little more extra strength, Lord, I'm lost. Some days I wanna unleash, switch up the mode and go beast on anybody testing my walk. Instead I speak peace, press the mute button in my head and hold the silence. But the thoughts that run through my mind, they be so violent. Lord, it's such a challenge, just trying to find balance. But some days the scale weigh heavy, I feel the madness growing inside. Just get to speaking to my mind, I run to the scripture so I can get back realigned. I swallow my pride, gotta do the will of Shaddai. Oh Lord, I need your strength, don't wanna be the other guy. Stay clear of the other side, and I must never compromise or be conformed to the ways of this world, therefore I strive. Turning the cheek don't mean that you're weak, that means you're meek. The meek shall inherit the earth, but let me speak. Meek means a discipline, humble and obedient. I gotta be the salt of the earth, this key ingredient. Sometimes I don't wanna be the salt. Why? I don't wanna be the city on the hill like a dog. Don't wanna carry this cross. I'ma need a little more extra strength, Lord, I'm lost. I mean, it's heavy now. I don't wanna be the salt. I don't wanna be the city on the hill like a dog. Don't wanna carry this cross. Let's go be sunny skies. Don't get Mr. Wu, man, keep it 100 with you, you know. I'm just saying, man, even Jesus, man, had second thoughts before he died. You know what I'm saying? Just keep it 100.